history and culture from the festival. There are lots of ways to learn about other cultures. For example, I just read 2 poems by authors from different cultures. One was from Latin America. The other is Mexican American. I wonder how their backgrounds have influenced their writing. Let's take a look. When you read something by a writer from a different culture, ask yourself how culture has affected the author and how culture has influenced the writing. In addition to culture, historical events can influence an author's viewpoint. The first poem I read is I Explain a Few Things by Pablo Neruda. Neruda was born in Chile, but he lived in many countries, including Spain. During the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s, he was deeply affected by the murder of a fellow poet. His feelings about the war influenced many of his poems. How did Neruda's views of Spain before and after the Spanish Civil War influence this poem? The first half of the poem describes Neruda's life in Spain before the war. Addressing a friend, he writes, "My house was called the House of Flowers because it was bursting everywhere with geraniums. It was a fine house with dogs and children." The figurative language, bursting everywhere with geraniums, conveys a bright, happy tone. The first-person point of view makes the poem feel personal. It allows Neruda to share his experiences and feelings with the reader. The second half of the poem describes the impact the war had on Spain. Neruda writes, "But from each dead child comes a gun with eyes." This figurative description conveys a grim, heavy tone and contributes to the theme of sorrow for what has been lost because of the war. Now let's look at Gary Soto's poem, The Space, and what it reveals about how his culture has affected his viewpoint. Soto, a Mexican American, grew up in California. He worked in its fields and factories and experienced the harsh realities of racism, poverty, and crime. In this poem, also written from the first-person point of view, Soto describes a tropical area where he lies in a hammock. West of town, near Hermosa's well, among avocado trees, cane, spidergrass, the hatchet-faced chula, the banana's umbrella of leaves. The poem's figurative language conveys a feeling of comfort and protection. Soto has faced many hardships, including racism and hard labor. In this beautiful space, surrounded by nature, he can escape his troubles and relax. Language is also an important aspect of culture. In his poem, Soto mentions Hermosa's well. In Spanish, hermosa means beautiful. He also mentions chula, which is a type of cactus. Using these terms shows his cultural connections with the world around him. This word tells us more about his happy feelings. Time to say adios. I want to get back to the festival so I can learn more about cultural heritage. See you later.